Good evening to everybody. We'd like to thank very much Doreen Asden for sponsoring the Short Ma'at Torah. It's the Ilui Nishmat, first of all, her son, Reb Warren Chaim Ze'ev Shalom ben Mordechai, Zichrono Livracha, and to her husband, Mordechai ben Kedit Tzvi, Zichrono Livracha, Mark Asden, both wonderful, wonderful people, and we hope that in the zchut of the sponsoring of this Dvar Torah, that the neshamot should have an aliyah b'Gan Eden, amongst the other zchuyot that they've got, and that Doreen has initiated for them. In this week's Parsha, there's a couple of mitzvot. It's a Parsha which is much packed with mitzvot, but there's a couple of mitzvot which are speak about military matters. The Parsha speaks about, for example, the cleanliness of the camp of Israel. That has to be a place where, despite the fact that in all armies, an army is not exactly like a yeshiva, and people are very uncouth, the way they conduct themselves, the way they swear, etc. But the Torah demands and expects that Jewish soldiers in a camp, even though they're under a lot of lachatz and pressure, that they don't lose their basic humanities, especially when the Jewish people would go to war. They would be accompanied with the ark and the Shivrei Luchot. So there was the Shekhinah accompanying them. And so amongst these laws of warfare and of the military, there's a law concerning the conscription of a person who was newly wed. So the Torah tells us that the authorities are not allowed to conscript someone who within the first year of his being married. There's differences of opinion. He has to be that first year. The Torah tells us, I'll read it out to you, very moving words. The Torah says that Kikach Isha Charasha, when a person is newly married, then Lo Yatzei Batzava, he's not allowed to go to the army. Lo Ya'avor Alav L'Kol Davar, he's not allowed to go. It's mashma also like to business trips overseas, unless his wife really gives him permission. Naki Lebeito Shana Achat. He has to be, the literal translation is Naki, he'll be clean. In other words, he'll be no other extra activity is allowed to taint and to soil the relationship that he has with his new wife. He has to be Naki, he has to be exclusively clean to his wife for the entire year. That's the year of bonding. So he has to be with her 24/7 in order that this first year of marriage is such a crucial year of marriage that he should gladden his wife. What I wanted to share with you is this Baal HaTurim. The Baal HaTurim says that this phrase, Naki yiyeh lebeito, it's a peculiar phrase. He is literally clean to his wife. In other words, he's not allowed to, as I say, taint himself and his wife by doing any other activity excepting by being with her. So Naki means cleanliness, purity, and the Baal HaTurim, he uses this phrase to understand and to echo something that the Gemara says, that when a person gets married, then he becomes Naki. He becomes clean. In other words, it's another way of saying that the couple, that they are, their sins are atoned for. There's different opinions. What does it mean? Does it mean that completely we wipe in heaven, they wipe the slate clean? Mamash, everything is just blotted out. Or is it more like in computer terms, it's quarantined? And if the person continues then to be a tzaddik, and so then that's it. His the previous sins that he did, they quarantine, they have no effect. But if he doesn't, so then the quarantine is broken, and then they they surge to the top, so to speak. But what is very interesting is that, so this phrase that when a person gets married, he is nakila beito. We said that on the one hand, it's a commandment. He has to be with his wife for the year. On the other hand, it's also a description. It's a description of that Hashem makes the couple naki. He makes them clean. But as Ayelet Shachar, what he does is he raises, but why should that be so? I mean, if he does tshuva, then what does he need the marriage for his sins to be blotted out? And if he doesn't do tshuva, so why should the marriage in itself then cause the person that his averot, his sins should be blotted out? I mean, what's the principle of this metaphysical law that Hashem now has told us? Why is it like so? There's a very interesting explanation. We could say, and that's how the Ayelet understands, that it's because making a household is such a great thing, that it's such a great mitzvah, and the repercussions of the mitzvah are so great. So that in and itself would maybe warrant that the sin should at least be quarantined. And more, I don't know if the word rational is correct, is more accurate, but I'm going to say the word rational. That the Rav Chaim Shmulevitz, Rosh Hashiva of Mir, he suggests that the reason that when a person gets married, the couple, their sin is atoned, is because what they've gone into another orbit, which very simply speaking is they take upon themselves responsibility. When a couple gets married, they take responsibility for one another and for future generations, which are they going to produce, if any. And it's that act, that commitment to take responsibility in life, which is something so fundamental to a moral life, a moral lifestyle. That is what causes the HaKadosh Baruch Hu to wipe the slate clean. Hashem, it's as if Hashem is saying, look at this couple. They're in love with each other, and they've taken upon themselves the responsibility to start a new home. So they take upon themselves such a responsibility. I'm going to help them to realize its responsibility. Why do they have to now come and bring baggage into this new lifestyle, which they want to be responsible for a sake of newness and starting off something new? Let me help them to be responsible. Why do they have to worry about things that they did in the past? So that's the great message, that the getting of the marriage, or the Gemara says, this idea, Gemara says, for example, if a person is also appointed to a position of authority, in other words, authority in a state that he becomes a communal leader, etc. His averot or nimchalu, because again, the same principle applies. It's a principle of taking responsibility, and what a very powerful message it is that always before Rosh Hashanah, during this glorious and very uplifting time of Elul, we remember this thing: the person who takes responsibility for themselves, for their lifestyle, for other people. That is such a fundamental in moral living that causes HaKadosh Baruch Hu to look at it with such a favorable light, that generates a mechila, a wiping out and atonement for one's sins. So I should continue to have a wonderful and very uplifting Elul, and also a Shana Tova that is just round the corner. Kol Tov to everybody.